If you're over 60, what you sip before bed could quietly be putting your brain at risk. I'm not talking about heavy drinking. I'm talking about that one small glass, the one you think is harmless, even healthy. But after decades as a brain doctor, I can tell you some of the most normal nighttime habits are quietly raising your stroke risk, especially while you sleep. Stay with me. What you learn in the next few minutes could protect your memory, your speech, and your independence. Wine before bed. Even just one glass. You've probably heard it before. A glass of red wine is good for your heart. For years, that idea has been passed around, on health shows, in doctors' offices, and across countless dinner tables. But let me tell you something I've learned after caring for thousands of patients over 60. After a certain age, that harmless glass of wine before bed may no longer be helping you. It may be quietly setting you up for a stroke. Let me share a story. Margaret, 72, was a retired school teacher from Ohio. Bright, active, always on top of her health. Each night, she had one small glass of Merlot before bed. She believed, just like many others, that it was part of a heart-healthy routine. But one morning, her husband found her confused. Her words were slurred. One side of her face had started to droop. A mild stroke had struck, quietly, in her sleep. When we sat down and reviewed her lifestyle, the puzzle pieces came together. Nightly wine, mild dehydration, disrupted sleep, and a body that, at her age, couldn't process alcohol like it used to. Here's the science behind what happened. As we age, the liver slows down. That one glass of wine at 72 is processed far more slowly than it would be at 45. Alcohol lingers longer, and when it wears off during the early morning hours, often around 2 or 3 a.m., your blood pressure can rebound suddenly. That spike, in the dark of night, can overwhelm the small blood vessels in the brain. Alcohol disrupts REM sleep. That's the deep stage of rest when your brain clears out waste, resets itself, and supports memory. Without good REM sleep, your brain becomes inflamed. Blood pressure rises. Brain cell repair gets interrupted. And over time, your risk of stroke increases, even with light drinking. Alcohol is a diuretic. It pulls water from your body. And many seniors, like Margaret, are already mildly dehydrated without knowing it. The result? Thicker blood, slower circulation, and a higher chance of clotting, especially during sleep. And the hardest part? There are no symptoms until it's too late. Margaret told me later, "I felt so calm after my glass of wine. I never imagined it was hurting me." But that's exactly why I'm here, to say what no one else says plainly. After 60, even just one glass can be the most dangerous part of your day. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your body is asking for a different kind of care. So if evening wine is part of your routine, ask yourself, how is my sleep quality lately? Do I wake up foggy or dizzy? Have I been checked for dehydration or blood pressure fluctuations overnight? These questions matter. And if you think wine is the only concern, think again. Because the next drink on our list looks colorful, social, and sweet, but it hides even more danger, especially for the brain. Let's talk about sugary cocktails and why they may be quietly hurting you more than you think. Number 2. Mixed cocktails with sugary sodas, a sweet sip with a hidden cost. It's easy to underestimate a cocktail. Just a little bourbon and cola, maybe a splash of tonic, a bit of flavored liqueur. It feels social, festive, maybe even comforting after a long day. But here's what I want every senior to understand. That sweet, fizzy drink you enjoy in the evening may be doing silent damage to your brain and your heart without you ever feeling a thing. Let me tell you about James, age 68, a Vietnam veteran from Florida. Tough man, good sense of humor, sharp mind. He came to see me after a transient ischemic attack, what we call a mini-stroke. He'd been pouring his morning coffee when, for about 20 minutes, he lost control of his right hand and couldn't speak clearly. Luckily, he recovered. But as we reviewed his habits, one detail stood out. Every night before dinner, James enjoyed a bourbon and cola. Just one, every single night. He thought it helped him unwind. He thought it was harmless. But here's what he didn't know, and what most seniors don't. Cocktails made with sugary mixers, colas, tonics, syrups are a dangerous combination after 60. Why? Because your body simply doesn't process sugar, alcohol, and sodium the way it used to. Here's what happens inside your body. Sugary mixers like cola and tonic spike your blood sugar, then crash it later. That sugar roller coaster inflames the delicate lining of your blood vessels, including the ones in your brain. Alcohol raises cortisol, your stress hormone. Combine that with sugar, and your blood pressure rises and stays high longer than you feel. Many of these mixers contain hidden sodium, which adds even more pressure to your vascular system and quietly dehydrates you at the same time. So now picture James, age 68, slightly elevated blood pressure, nightly sugar plus alcohol plus sodium, dehydration and vascular stress during the night. It was only a matter of time. What's even more misleading is tonic water, which many people think is a light mixer. But one can of tonic contains almost as much sugar as a can of soda, and many flavored liqueurs are loaded with preservatives and dyes that can irritate your nervous system and disrupt your electrolyte balance. And you won't feel it, not immediately. Instead, the damage builds quietly, a little more brain fog each week, blood pressure creeping upward, an early morning stroke that seems to come from nowhere. The truth is, it didn't come from nowhere. When I explained all this to James, he said what so many seniors say, "But Doc, it helps me relax." And I understood. But I reminded him gently, at your age, real peace doesn't come from what's in the glass. It comes from knowing your brain is protected. So here's what I want you to ask yourself tonight. Do I drink cocktails with sugary mixers? Do I know how much sugar or sodium is in them? Have I noticed more headaches, confusion, or fatigue lately? If the answer is yes to any of those, it's time to rethink the drink. Because your brain doesn't need a buzz, it needs blood flow. And your heart doesn't need flavor, it needs rhythm, hydration, and rest. And if you think drinking cocktails is only risky because of the sugar, let me show you one habit that may be even more dangerous: drinking alcohol without any water at all. Let's talk about what happens when you go to bed dry, and that one missing glass could change your life overnight.
3. Drinking alcohol without water, the silent risk you never noticed. It seems like such a small thing, having a drink without water. But if you're over 60, this simple omission may be one of the most dangerous habits in your nightly routine. Let me explain why and tell you about a patient I'll never forget. Linda, 74 years old, a retired librarian from Arizona. She was sharp, independent, and careful with her diet. She didn't smoke, she stayed active. But she came to me after suffering a mild stroke that left her with slurred speech and noticeable memory lapses. As we talked through her habits, one detail stood out. Each evening, Linda would sip a small glass of wine while reading before bed. And that's all. No food, no water. She thought it was harmless, but here's the truth that many seniors don't know. As we age, our body loses the ability to signal thirst clearly. By the time you feel thirsty, you may already be dehydrated, especially if you're drinking alcohol. Now add this. Alcohol is a diuretic. It makes your kidneys flush out more fluid. Without water to balance it out, you lose hydration fast and silently. Your blood thickens, circulation slows, and pressure on your heart and brain increases, all while you sleep. And that's exactly what happened to Linda. During the night, her dehydrated blood became more viscous and her blood pressure spiked. At dawn, the time when most strokes occur in older adults, a small clot formed, cutting off oxygen to part of her brain. By the time she woke up confused and slurring her words, the damage had already taken hold. She hadn't done anything wrong. She just didn't know how fragile hydration becomes with age. And she didn't know that drinking without water makes alcohol more dangerous. Let me give you a simple analogy. Think of your blood like motor oil. When it's well hydrated, it flows easily. It lubricates the system, protects your brain, supports your heart. But when it gets thick and sludgy like oil left out too long, it clogs, clumps, and stalls. And for the human body, that stall could mean a stroke or worse. The most heartbreaking part is that Linda had no symptoms the night before, no headache, no warning signs, just a quiet moment before bed that looked peaceful from the outside. But inside, her brain was under stress. So what can you do? If you choose to drink, always pair alcohol with at least 1 full glass of water before or after. Don't drink on an empty stomach. Hydrate steadily throughout the day, not just at night. And listen to your body. That lightheadedness, that morning fog, that sudden fatigue, they're not just aging. They could be early warning signs of something deeper. Your brain is asking for something simple. Oxygen, circulation, fluid, rest. That's what keeps it alive and clear. Not wine, not whiskey, and definitely not alcohol on its own. And if you've ever told yourself, alcohol helps me sleep faster, you're not alone. But what if I told you that belief could be quietly damaging your brain every single night? Let's talk next about a habit that many older adults trust to help them rest, but may actually be robbing them of clarity, memory, and peace of mind.
4. Using alcohol as a sleep aid, when the nightly habit steals your clarity. If you've ever reached for a small drink at night to help you fall asleep, you're not alone. Many of my patients over 60 do it. A little whiskey, a glass of wine, maybe a nightcap to shut off the brain. And I get it, truly. Falling asleep gets harder as we age. Thoughts race, the body feels restless. The quiet of the night can sometimes feel too loud. But here's what I need you to know. Alcohol doesn't help you sleep. It helps you pass out. And that's not the same. Let me tell you about George, a 70-year-old former firefighter from Pennsylvania. Tough guy, worked hard his whole life. After retirement, though, he started struggling with insomnia. To cope, he began taking a shot of whiskey each night, just one. It helped me knock out, he said. But over time, something changed. He began waking up more confused. Forgot where he parked his car. One morning, he couldn't remember how to get home from the grocery store. He came to see me, scared. "Doc, I'm slipping." We ran tests. No stroke, no dementia yet, but his brain scans told a different story. Fragmented sleep, low oxygen at night, poor memory consolidation.
His nightly sleep aid was stealing the very thing it promised to protect, his clarity. Here's what alcohol does during sleep, especially in older adults. It disrupts REM sleep, the deep stage when your brain heals, detoxifies, and stores new memories. It causes blood pressure to swing up and down, stressing your cardiovascular system. It raises cortisol, your stress hormone, keeping your nervous system on high alert even while you look asleep. It interferes with heart rhythm stability, which is why most strokes and cardiac events in seniors happen between 2 and 5 a.m. So yes, you fall asleep faster, but your brain never truly rests. It's like turning off the lights while leaving the machines running hot. And over time, that leads to morning brain fog, poor balance, memory loss, increased risk of stroke, dementia, and falls. George hadn't done anything reckless. He didn't drink heavily. He didn't feel drunk. But every night, his brain was working harder, not healing while he slept. And that slow erosion of brain function, it's often so quiet, you don't notice until it's hard to find the right words. Until you forget your way home. Until someone you love says, "You don't seem like yourself lately." If you use alcohol to fall asleep, I want you to ask yourself honestly, do I wake up still tired? Do I forget things I didn't used to? Is my blood pressure unstable even though I take my meds? Then it might be time to try a different kind of bedtime routine, one that actually protects your brain. Because your brain doesn't need to be shut off. It needs a chance to rest, to restore, to remember who you are and what matters most. And if you think this is where the dangers stop, think again. Because there's one more habit that often flies completely under the radar, but may be the deadliest of them all. Let's talk about what happens when you drink alone and forget your medications. 5. Drinking alone and forgetting medications, the most overlooked and dangerous combination. There's a quiet ritual many older adults fall into. A glass of wine alone at the end of the day. Not to celebrate, not to socialize, but to cope with loneliness, grief, silence, or simply the passing of time. It seems small, it feels harmless, but when this quiet ritual is combined with another common habit, forgetting or skipping medications, the results can be devastating. Let me introduce you to Barbara, 76, a widow from Minnesota. She lived alone, independent, strong-willed. She came to my clinic after waking one morning unable to move her right arm. Her speech was slurred. A mild stroke, but a stroke nonetheless. When we spoke, she admitted something that broke my heart. Some nights, I take my blood pressure pills. Other nights, I skip. I just don't want to mix them with wine. And sometimes I double up the next morning if I forget. Barbara thought she was being cautious, but the truth is, missing a dose is often more dangerous than mixing, especially when it comes to blood pressure medications, cholesterol medications, blood thinners. These aren't just pills. They are protective layers designed to guard your heart, your brain, your blood flow, especially while you sleep when stroke risk naturally increases. When you drink alcohol, your blood pressure becomes more unstable. Your hydration drops. Your blood thickens. And if you haven't taken your medications, there's nothing there to balance it out.
You go to bed unprotected, and you may not wake up the same. But here's the other side of the danger. When you drink alone, there's no one to notice the early signs of stroke. Slight slurring of speech, subtle facial asymmetry, dizziness or confusion. These signs can be missed even by the person experiencing them, and by the time help arrives, the damage may already be done. Barbara was lucky. She made it to the hospital in time, but she now lives with permanent speech difficulty. And with a deep sadness in her eyes, she said something that I wish every senior could hear. If I had known the risk, I never would have skipped my pills. I thought I was being careful. I had no idea skipping them was worse. That's the reality many older adults face. They think they're doing the right thing, avoiding mixing. But what they're really doing is removing the very safety net their body depends on at night. And emotionally, it goes even deeper. After a stroke, many seniors become isolated, not by choice, but by fear. They stop going out, stop seeing friends. Confidence slips away. Depression creeps in. All because of one moment, triggered by a habit that felt safe. Let me say this clearly. Alcohol clouds judgment. It disrupts your routine. And in an aging brain, consistency is everything. If you're taking medications, timing matters. Missing doses, doubling up, or delaying just for tonight may be enough to tip the balance towards stroke, heart attack, or internal bleeding. So here's your checkpoint. Have you ever skipped your medication because of alcohol? Have you ever taken it late or not at all because you forgot after a drink? Do you live alone and rely on memory for your pill routine? If so, it's time for a gentle but firm change. Because one moment of silence, one skipped pill, can become a lifetime of difficulty. And the good news? You can start protecting your brain tonight. Let's walk through exactly what you can do before bed to lower your risk and give your body the rest and safety it deserves.
What you can do tonight. Simple actions to protect your brain while you sleep. Here's something I've heard from almost every stroke survivor I've treated. I didn't think it would happen to me. And, most heartbreaking of all, I went to bed feeling fine. That's the cruel reality of stroke. It doesn't always come with pain or symptoms or fanfare. It comes quietly while you sleep, when no one is watching. But here's the part I want you to hold on to. You are not powerless. Some of the most effective, brain-protective steps don't require doctors, insurance, or prescriptions. They just require a few mindful choices, starting tonight. 1. Drink water before you sleep. If you've had any alcohol, even one small glass, drink a full glass of water before bed. Hydration helps thin your blood, supports healthy circulation, and prevents dangerous pressure buildup while you sleep. After 60, your body doesn't send strong thirst signals anymore. So don't wait until you feel thirsty. Make water part of your nighttime habit. 2. Review and take your medications consistently. Use a pill organizer or set a daily alarm on your phone or clock. If you take medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, or blood thinners, missing even one night can leave your body exposed during its most vulnerable hours, between 2 and 5 a.m., when strokes are most common. Don't skip. Don't double up later. Consistency is your protection. 3. Set the right sleep environment. What surrounds you affects how deeply your brain can rest. Before bed,
Turn off all screens at least an hour before sleeping. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Avoid alcohol on an empty stomach. It causes blood sugar swings your body may not handle well. Think of your bedroom not just as a place to sleep, but as the recovery room for your brain. 4. Don't drink in isolation. If you live alone, don't drink alone. Isolation increases the risk of skipping medications, drinking more than intended, missing early signs of stroke or low blood pressure. Instead, call a loved one, join a virtual group, or simply talk to a neighbor. Connection protects routine, and routine protects your brain. 5. Reframe your evenings. This one may sound simple, but it's powerful. Don't think of nighttime as the end of your day. Think of it as the beginning of your brain's healing shift. When you sleep, your brain clears out toxins, repairs connections, stabilizes blood flow, restores memory. But only if you give it the right conditions. No alcohol haze, no dehydration, no skipped meds. Just support, rhythm, rest.
Your brain doesn't ask for much, just hydration, rest, and rhythm. And every choice you make tonight matters. So trade the nightcap for a glass of water. Take your medications on time, and give your brain the sleep it truly needs. It's never too late to protect what matters most. If this helped you, share it. Someone else may need it more than you know.